name is Christian Morales, and I'm a candidate for governor of California. So why am I running for governor of California? So first and foremost, the reason I'm running is the plight of our manufacturing industry. That's what I've done for the last 20 years. I've worked in manufacturing sites, leading sites and helping be that person that goes in and is the last person to try to help turn around a facility when a facility's been deemed to be closed up or mothballed. And I've seen the plight of how the working class in this state has just been completely gutted and destroyed. And this issue is not an issue solely for this crowd in this room, but it's an issue for all Californians. I'm sure everybody here knows someone that perhaps has been laid off, has been let go from their job, or has been somehow impacted by what has happened here just in the last 3.5 years since Governor Gavin Newsom came into office. More than 300 companies large companies, corporations have left out of state. And this is accelerating exponentially here in the last couple of months. And it's an issue that doesn't get a lot of attention. And that's how I feel this message, this economic message, is what I'm running on, and one that I feel that separates me from all the candidates, with all due respect to their unique messages. California is in distress. There's a lot of issues: homelessness, crime, unemployment, you name it. But I feel this economic issue is one that I feel that can have a little bit of a bridge to other communities that perhaps have never considered the Republican Party, but they would be open to listening. And that first and foremost is what I plan to do, is listen to those individuals, and most importantly, then try to advocate why I am the best candidate to be able to lead this state. Thanks. So this is my favorite question, because I think this is the question that really everyone here in this room, including myself, because I'm a voter as well, ultimately, needs to ask yourself about every candidate that comes before you as a selection with whatever role or whatever position they're going to be running for. They need to have a concrete plan. This is serious. There are people that have been unemployed. There are people that are affected by crime. There are people whose livelihoods have been basically marginalized perhaps for a long time because of what is going on currently in the state. So this is what I'm doing differently. So first of all, I'm bilingual. Hablo español. And I've been leading the campaign in Spanish. I know that some in this community, whether it's religious or otherwise Republican, frown upon it. But I'm doing it because I feel the first thing you need to do is get people to listen to you. And then you need to get them to obviously convince you that your message is the correct message. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing that in that community because that's 40% of the state. Secondly, there's 30% of the state is foreign born. I don't know if people know this. This goes to my background. I deal with metrics every day for 20 years in the manufacturing sites. The first thing you do, numbers are not prejudice. Okay, you have a number assigned to you, it is what it is. So when I go into a plant and we assess how healthy or how good the plant is performing, we assign certain metrics to it. It's no different in politics, in my opinion. So the California Republican Party has obviously not been doing as well as it should have been doing over the last 4 election cycles. Meg Whitman spent $140 million, lost by 20 percentage points. Neil Kaskari lost by 20 percentage points. John Cox lost by 20 percentage points. Larry Elder lost by 20 percentage points. So I'm reaching out to these communities because I myself am an immigrant. I'm originally from Guatemala. Yes, that country that is in the news a lot and has a lot of issues to it. But I also address how I'm approaching this issue as a lifelong Republican and a lifelong conservative. So I'm here talking to you because I'm hoping to be that sound of reason within the Republican Party. Whatever happens in another state, to be honest, is irrelevant to me. This is a local race to me because it's impacted my family, it's impacted people I know, and people that I care. And that's why I'm taking it seriously, and that's why I'm offering solutions to be able to bring people to our party. And I feel if I do so in this manner, at least I can get people to listen to me, and I feel I can get at least a competitive race, a race where we can actually have an opportunity to win in November. And that's how I hope to earn everyone's vote in this room. Thank you.
What you're going to do around election fraud, and maybe we can start with you, Christian.
So I think the main thing that we can do as a community is get involved. You can volunteer as a poll worker, and that's something that anybody can pretty much do. So if you spread the word in your communities to be poll watchers, that's a good first step. I do agree, there's obviously irregularities in the voter logs, perhaps. They need to be corrected. Rachel, obviously, hopefully she'll be successful in her run, and that'll be one of the tasks that I would hope that she would undertake to make sure that our voter rolls are accurately reflecting the number of people, the people that are citizens of the state that are actually able to vote. And if we need to purge certain roles, then yes, so be it. But I think on a community level, the first thing you can do is volunteer and be a poll watcher. And I think that's a good first step to getting involved.
On combating the homelessness issue.
So this is an issue that's a very difficult one. That I know a lot of people have thrown out a lot of great ideas, but unfortunately, we've come up short as a society to take care of people that have become homelessness. So first and foremost, I've worked for a large defense contractor, and I've worked in the electronics industry here in recent years, did a lot of military work, and that required a certain level of clearance level. And my heart goes out to veterans, first and foremost. So to me, there should be a unique program to take care of those individuals, separate from everybody else. Because in my opinion, if you put your life at risk and you serve this country, we owe that to you. We owe that responsibility to take care of you. I understand a lot of them perhaps may have mental illness issues, so then you need to parcel out the people that are obviously homeless and the people that are mentally ill. I'm not a health professional, so I'm not going to sit here and psychoanalyze how we're going to exactly do that. But to me, just on two big buckets, if you're mentally incapacitated, then obviously we need a group of people taking care of you. If you're a veteran and otherwise just unemployed, then there should be somehow a bridge for us to be able to support you, including possibly even providing you free housing, to be honest with you. If you went to Afghanistan or if you went to Iraq, we need to take care of you.
Yeah.
Okay, and find a way. This state is the 5th largest state. We should be able to find somewhere in this state to build an apartment for you, take care of you. Now, the situation I think that we have right now, the crisis that we have, I should say right now, is we just have a lack of overall respect. And we have a lot of individuals that are coming here from other states and just basically just taking it to their liberty to just lay on the street, defecate, litter, and otherwise pollute people's neighborhoods. It's a travesty. And to me, partially, this has to be solved by a local level, but it needs and it requires someone on the state level to be able to support them. Yes, I'm all for local government, but we cannot allow to have our largest cities just become overwhelmed with homelessness. And homelessness, when people say homelessness, well, I live in the city of Torrance, by the way, and we've started getting encroached somewhat by homelessness, but we've had first the RVs. People that are RVs, they park the RVs can't move, maybe they're no longer functioning properly, but are they homeless or not? You know, some people would say, well, no, they have a place to stay at night and not in the street. You know, so we have to define, I hate to say it, but we have to define what homelessness means. And then obviously you have people on the street that are homeless. So to me, I would advocate, if I need to, when I come to office, calling the National Guard to help really control this population. Because until somebody sets their foot down and really says, we're not gonna tolerate this anymore, then, which is what I plan to do, to me, this is where I feel I'm to the right, maybe of a lot of my candidates, because I'm not gonna tolerate our cities just being overrun by homelessness. For the people that need help, I will have the biggest heart and biggest supporter of them. For the people that just come and just lay on the streets, under my administration, we're not gonna allow it and tolerate it to the full extent of the law that I'm allowed to. So, thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
You said you wanted a unique solution, so here's a little bit maybe out of the box solution for me. Is having the communities that are the most impacted, having them be the ones that determine what should be the repercussions for people that are impacting those communities. So for example, something that's happened here lately, unfortunately, has been an attack on the elderly population, predominantly the Asian community. You know, I'm a manufacturing person. I worked in manufacturing for 20 years. You know, being a jurisdiction over our laws in terms of policing is not my background and my skill. But what I do know is going to the communities that are the most impacted and asking them and listening to them, what would you like to be done to somebody that impacted your grandma? That person that pushed that grandma onto the subway in New York. What would you like to be done to that person? So to me, you know, that's how I would answer that question. And I would want to listen to that audience to see what would they want that person's repercussions to be.
I want to move to position, Christian actually has an interesting position on his platform, which he is pro-union Republican. So first of all, Christian, I'd love for you to kind of elaborate on that, and then I want to hear from the other candidates where they stand with the union. And specifically, with the school choice issue, you believe in working with the teachers' unions. Now, California Teachers Association, I think a lot of us has dealt with them, is a very political organization, and I dealt with it as a proponent of the Educational Freedom Act. And I'm concerned because that's one area where I would be like, I think they're so indoctrinated that it's hard to work with them. But I'm curious to see what you would propose as a potential working relationship with a very political, on the left, political body.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, so this kind of piggybacks on the question you asked earlier, how are you going to win over voters? So yes, this is a different standpoint that I have, that none of the other candidates, I believe, have this position, that I am pro-union. I went to Cornell University and I went to their labor program. And throughout my career, I've really grown to advocate the working class. And I've seen, and I think some of the people in this room may or may not agree with me, you'll see that some workers have been exploited, okay? We have working conditions, for example, in the Amazon fulfillment centers where employees are basically passing out, they're having to urinate in their own water bottles. I mean, these are just basic, livable things that you should be able to go to work, be able to work your shift and not be basically demoralized at the work and be threatened to be fired. So in certain instances, yes, I completely support them unionizing them. And if they unionize them, to be honest, that's their fault because they didn't respect their workforce. So to answer your question regarding the teachers' unions. So I think I have one of these unique qualities that by not being combative and going into this conversation, if any candidate tells you that they're gonna get rid of the unions, I don't think, I mean, if it happens, that's one thing, but I don't think that's realistic. That's why I'm approaching it in the sense of renegotiating the union contracts to have something that I feel is workable and agreeable. Will everybody like it? Probably not. I'll be the first one to admit it, okay? But we know that the current status right now where the majority of third graders, or overwhelming majority of third graders, don't even have the basic English, reading, or arithmetic skills in this state. It's a travesty. So talking just real briefly about my background, my parents are academics. My dad got a PhD from Purdue University in genetics. So education has been in the front of my family my whole life. I attended private schools in Guatemala. I attended private schools in Mexico when we lived there briefly. And then when we lived here in the US, in Indiana, where I was raised, I went to the third best school system in the whole country in West Lafayette, Indiana. So I know what good education can lead to. And I feel, again, because I speak Spanish and I communicate in a manner that I feel people will listen, I feel I'm going to be able to communicate with parents. Make no mistake, there's a parent out there in an impoverished community that is sick and tired that their child is not learning, okay? No different than the people in this room, no different than people perhaps in the richest communities in this state. So I feel by having somebody that is at least willing to meet the other side at the negotiating table and actually come to somewhat of a compromise. If we're not able to come to a compromise, then, oh well, all bets are off, I guess, as they say. But at least a plan to approach it in that manner.
Thank you.